So I am a person who believes in learning from past events and what others would consider mistakes. Now we are now past the month anniversary of when I stopped speaking to a person I'd been to that was acquaintances with for January of 2017 to May of this year. And the reason for that is some of you might remember was because I was upset that he said he would watch a video that I'd worked very hard on. Um, and after weeks of me giving him leeway and saying, you know what, man, you got school, you got other stuff you're doing, whatever, he decided to switch his reason and go, oh, no, I was never interested. I don't want to see it at all. After saying over and over, I'm going to see it, I'm going to see it, I'm going to see it for literally almost a month. Um, and I love how when he was confronted over this, he tried to, do the little spin factor. So again, my reason for being pissed off was you said you're going to do this and then you don't end up doing it. Not you didn't want to see this because if I was pissed off at people who didn't watch my stuff, I would literally be mad at the entire world because most people do not, have never seen any of my content. And that's just on a factual basis of the views, which are not aggregate to the world population. But look, I tried to explain this before, which is that if there's anything people want, and someone says you, because I said, I will completely drop this if you just watch the video, and he refused to do that. And I said, my explanation of why he was the dumb person in this equation, that if anyone wants to do something and someone says, okay, I'll do this for you, just watch a video, they're going to do it. If you're some horny guy and you want to, some woman says, I will bang you if you watch this 18-minute video, you are going to rush to the nearest computer, whether you have a laptop or a library pass or whatever the hell, and get on, on there and check that out. If someone says, let's say you have, I don't know, the cold, and they go, hey, if you watch this video, I will cure you. I have the cure to the common cold and I have the recipes and, whatever. Maybe it's like a genie or something, some magical force that they actually can prove and show to be tangible. You're going to rush over to your computer and check that out so they'll administer the cure. So, my point in bringing it up is to say when people have to do something very simple to get something that they really, really want, they'll do it. And, I was trying to figure out why I still to this day have people who like to come over to the channel and ask about this relationship crap, because I had an epiphany a couple of days ago when I was just sitting back and thinking to myself. I said, well, if this guy who I spoke with, because remember, they tell you that love is real, that if you talk to any of these chicks for some duration of time, something will happen, or, if there's a higher chance of it happening, blah, blah, blah. But I said to myself, when I was kind of thinking about whether I was right for doing that or, made the right call, I said, well, hell, he wanted to claim that you were his friend and all these different messages I had with him over the last 2 years. And yet he couldn't bring himself to watch a video. And again, this is someone I spoke to on a nearly daily basis for 26, 27 months. So if a person I spoke to for that long, for literally over 2 years, thought so little of me that they couldn't, be subjected to watching a video that they might not have found the most interesting in the world, then it's no wonder that chicks that I talk to for weeks or months or days have no interest in doing anything besides what they want to do, which is usually, talk and waste your time. Now, I was trying to explain this before that, I'm a person who goes off of facts that are presented in front of them, things that, really dissuade a lot of these keyboard theories from these internet therapists and psychologists. And I was saying that, it really makes a lot of sense if you're talking to some woman for weeks or months and you say, hey, can we get together? Hey, can we start a family? Hey, just any kind of ambitious initiative, right? And you think your reason for pursuing her in this manner is because you think she reciprocates how you feel, even if she does to a slight extent, which you'll never know the full capacity of because they don't like to reveal anything. Because of what this guy did, where he was like, it was almost like I was asking him to bear the cross and requesting that he watch the video. It makes so much more sense that these chicks would never even so much as consider any of the ambitious proposals I had. You know, I've spoken about, you know, wanting to get married, wanting to have children, you know, just things like that, which I've thought long and hard about. I've dare I say weighed the pros and cons of, and I just determined after a while that I really see more of a benefit to doing those things than not. But you know, no matter how much effort you put into something that is related to multiple people getting involved, it's only ever as good as its weakest link. Case in point with the voice actor situation. You have a project that an installment of which takes maybe a month if it's the sole thing I focus on to produce. And I sat on this website with all these different people, asked them, okay, can you do this? Can you do this? Spoke to over a dozen of them. And at one point, I just sat back in this chair and I said to myself, you know, I don't feel bad about my role because I'm the one who has to draw all this, has to edit it, has to write the scripts. And, you know, what is stopping that from being done? A person won't record some lines on a piece of paper. So if they're doing that as a collective, right? Because it's not just, you know, people like to think in their heads, oh, he got turned in by one person or, you know, he quit after. No, no, no. We're talking about going up to over a dozen voice actors, answering all their questions and getting the same result over and over again, to where the only reason it got resolved was because I went to another website and someone who heard about what was happening through, you know, me mentioning it to them was like, hey, I'll do it. So that website proved to be completely useless. But, you know, you have to ask yourself, are these people collectively the weakest link if their refusal to do something that really is not, you know, that big in the grand scheme of things? You're reading off a piece of paper. I do the exact same thing. If they're finding such a difficult time in doing that, is the person who's trying to make this really in the wrong to say, you know, you are the cause of the, you know, the stifling and the stagnation? It's the same thing with these relationships I've talked about, where, you know, you go up to these chicks and you say, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I'm supposed to go on here and feel bad for trying, for going out of my way to appease these people. You know, I've mentioned before that I've been accused of having high standards. And I've said, look, I don't want to date someone that's overweight. I don't want to date someone that has children. I don't want to date someone that is, you know, either of those two things, because I'm neither of those things. And I've actually, as I've stated before, and as I've demonstrated in some other streams, there are multiple things I bend on. I've described trying to get with a broad that couldn't see, because she had a nice personality and seemed to be interested, reciprocating. Of course, she did, and then, you know, decided to do a backflip. But, you know, it is what it is. I also tried to get with someone that was paraplegic, and I bring that up because those are two particular disabilities that I do not find attractive in and of themselves, and would not see as something that would, you know, increase or improve my attraction to that person. But they were things I was willing to look past, because I thought the people who were afflicted by them were more than their, you know, ailments. And so that's why I find myself kind of astonished when I read those types of comments. People actually, you know, they want to believe anything that you know, can just convince them that stuff is the way it is. Oh, this person is this, that, and the other. But, you know, they're going out of their way to try and be something else. Now, I've said before that I look at most things through the realm of a self-aware, selfish person, an SSB. And, you know, someone might say to themselves, what does that mean? It's like, well, look, I won't join the military, not because I don't think it's an honorable thing that people do to, whatever. It's because I am not going to risk my life fighting in any of these 7 interventions the U.S. is involved in for a bunch of people who are neither grateful to you before you leave nor grateful to you after you leave. I mean, really think about it. You go over here to these countries, and who are you fighting for? Predators? Uh, any of these chicks that are, completely the same people who ignored you and treated you like trash when you tried to get with them? Now, look, I said before, you got to also understand that there's a 27% of people who come back from their tenure, their service, and end up as part of the homeless population. So that's another factor. But the bottom line is that I don't think it's worth going out and protecting these people who I just don't think are worth me protecting. And if anyone else comes to the same conclusion, hey, welcome aboard. I'm all for self-preservation, because see, what people don't like to admit is that the reason this chick stuff didn't turn out good wasn't because someone didn't look pretty enough or have a good shirt or whatever the hell. It's because we do for us first. So if there's some broad who says, "Oh, well, that Justin guy, he's okay looking, but this guy over here's really hot. Let me go talk to him." You know, they're going to completely take everything I've told them, every personality trait I might have demonstrated that they like, and throw it in the trash. And it's not because I'm some worthless person, even though they might feel that way about me, because they're all kind of things, but they will completely ignore you because they have a preference that says, screw whatever your ambitions are, whatever you want to say to me is, I'm going to follow what I want. And that's exactly what they do. And look, I wish people would get that. I wish more people would understand that's why this is happening, because when you have a system like that where people have set themselves to such ridiculous standards that if someone doesn't meet their model of perfection, they basically cast them away. It really should take a bunch of guys saying, I'm not going to let this be what defines me. I'm not going to let it be the only thing that I focus on or am affected by. And look, I've been one of the main people saying this chick stuff bothers me nearly every day. I think about it all the time. But I would be remiss to encourage people to continue pressing on with this stuff, especially if I don't see a change in my own personal life. We were talking about how they're a net negative, and I said, look, at this point, the only things I want out of a woman are a child, and if that happens, then getting married. When you have a bunch of broads who, when you specifically ask them if they're interested in that, either completely ignore the question or start telling you about wait 2, 5, 6, 7. No one has time for that. And again, let's say you play their game and talk to them for some longer amount of time, they end up screwing you over. I had one who I spoke to, and I've mentioned this one before, from a foreign country. It cost a significant amount more to go see her than someone else that's in the U.S. And I said, look, I don't have a problem with going and paying that. I have to know this is serious. So, she reciprocates, then cuts it off, then says, oh, well, I'll think about it if I get to know you better. 3 months go by. She starts doing the same little think about it dance. I said, hey, look, I'm not trying to do this forever. So, can that. But the point was, I played by this person's rules. I tried to compromise with them. They chose for it not to happen. I get on here and I'm supposed to feel bad. I'm supposed to think, oh my God, I shouldn't have. No, like, no. And I've said, I want people to do what they think is right. And, I don't believe it's my place to see. I've said before, a lot of people nowadays have a Soviet Union mindset where if there's something you're doing that is not in line with their position, it's automatically weird. It's automatically a degenerate type of thing to do. For example, I no longer approach women. I haven't spoken to a single one of them with romantic interest that I approach specifically to get with them that way, or just to get with them, at all, since October of last year. Um, that being said, if someone wants to go out and talk to them and whatever, I'm not going to get mad or say you're crazy or you're stupid. I'm going to think it's a waste of time because, I mean, again, my own track record, but I'm not going to comment on their stuff and go, "You're wasting time. What are you doing?" Because it doesn't matter to me. Like, whether some other man chooses to approach or not has no bearing on me. I had my best friend. He was saying that he wanted to wait until he was, as you all know, I quit at 19. He stated he wanted to. I quit as far as like regularly going out. Here and there was a thing that I did for a year later, but you get the idea. He said he wanted to wait until he was 25 to stop talking to them, or to just altogether cast this away. And I said, look, you know, you don't have to set an age. You just have to ask yourself, after talking to so many of them, has this changed? Is this getting any better? And at that point, you could decide if you want to keep doing this. And I said, whatever decision you make, I'll support it, because, it doesn't affect me in any negative way, whatever movie makes. And I guess what is so disturbing is that when I've spoken about wanting to get with an older chick, I've mentioned that a couple of times before, and I said, look, there's two reasons for that. One is that the only relationship I was ever in, I would say, was complete hell. It's almost like going into a chimney as someone is, warming the fire up, and then as you're trying to get out from the top, you have a let's say a bird that just swoops right over and just takes a dump right atop you. So you're getting hit from the top and you're getting burned from the bottom. That's exactly how that relationship was. Every single time I saw this person, they asked for stuff. It only lasted a week, but that was 7 days of torture. And I really, when I sat there and I thought to myself, I was like, I've seen people talk how much they love their partner, how much they, can't imagine doing things without them. And it's like, this is as good as it's going to get for me. And if this is all that I can have accept me, I don't want it. And I cut it off. I ended it. I said, this is stupid. But this was just to clarify, this was a 23-year-old person who was like, 4 or 5 years older than me. And it's kind of funny. I had stated before, my main reason for wanting to get with someone that was older is because I look at a lot of these modern chicks as gold diggers, and that's exactly what that broad was. So my mindset is this: if I'm, say, talking to someone that's 5, 6 years older, and they have their own place and vehicle and whatnot, I'm not going to think, especially if they're not asking me for anything, that they're looking for some kind of financial piggy bank off of me. And it's really disgusting that I would even have to put up with that from people that really aren't, I'm sorry, they're nothing special. Just like how they have all these guys that talk to them and they can feel through them back and forth. When I go on these pages on Instagram or any of these other websites and I look at some of the stuff that's posted there, I start to yawn, because I've seen so many attractive chicks that it's almost like having a surplus of something that, is completely useless to me at this point. I'm not one of these people that really gets turned on by a lot of these skimpy outfits, those little pictures that they put up, because, like I said before, I'm not like, I've specified before, I'm 21, so I'm not a little kid. It doesn't, I don't go, ooh, yeah, when I see some chick's picture, because that's stuff that I've seen plenty of times before. So unless they're doing something new, like accepting a date or talking about what they want to do with their lives, they're useless to me. And it's really funny when people get offended by that and they go, "Oh my God, how could you say that about your female contemporary?" And I'm like, dude, when was the last time? Like, ask yourself this if you're a man. When was the last time you had I can't tell you how many times I've had women ask me for stuff. When was the last time you had a woman that wasn't either your relative or decades your senior ever offer to pay anything for you at all, whenever. But that's my point. There are a bunch of receivers that are trying to make you their giver, and then they're not even willing to give what you actually want. Um, so they want to have their cake and eat it too. Basically, this woman I told you about that was in this other country specifically was going to, by her own plan, have me speak to her week after week, month after month, and then just keep putting off this rendezvous, this romantic meeting, so that she could have her little person to talk to when she got bored, and never give anything back to that person. And it's a really dehumanizing approach that I just didn't want to participate in anymore. But let's go over to the final facet of this of this exchange I'm having here. When I was sitting back and I was looking at the views on my stuff, and I was talking to a person, they said something to the effect of, I don't know why you're so surprised that the political stuff or the show doesn't get as many views as the romance stuff, because all you are is entertainment. All you are is something these people put out, check out when they're, I guess, seeing a title that catches their attention, and then they, go back to their corners of watching people they actually like. And I said, I'm reminded of another person on here I've mentioned before. I'm not going to say his name now, but he made a video where he was critiquing what he calls some timey term that I'm not going to use. Let's call them some timey subscribers. And it's basically these people who they're all ramped up and ready to go when you make this certain type of content, and then when you do anything else, nowhere to be seen. It was really funny to hear that, because I consider him to be someone that is kind of like, he has this one thing he just sticks to, right? So it makes it seem a lot weirder for him to have that same problem, especially when I watch all of his stuff. So it's not like I think he's actually boring or doesn't make any good stuff. It's people are just that finicky. And I was looking at the Twitter situation, and I asked specifically, can people share this? Barely got any more views than anything else, so I know it wasn't shared. I've really tried to be attentive to people on here and make stuff that I thought would have some widespread appeal. And it's hard to sit back and keep acting because, like I said, I don't live in the fantasy world anymore. So that's why when I was sharing my stuff on Twitter all the time, that was after 3 years of believing the idea that you keep improving the quality of your stuff, people will eventually notice it. And when that didn't happen, I said, okay, well, screw this. I've got to do it. Plaster the link everywhere. I really see, it's so funny. I see the romance stuff, the stuff with the project, stuff with the political videos, just all of it's so interwoven. And I love how the people who like the romance stuff don't even get this, because I think if they watch the other things, they could probably learn a thing or two. But hey, that's too tough. Basically, with all of this stuff, it's a narrative that people put forth, and they tell you, hey, please, just listen to me, listen to what I'm saying, and this will change, or this will be modified, or this will go your way. And as a person who's lived the experience of talking to chicks for 7 years, of doing YouTube regularly now for 3 years, technically we're going on the 4th year actually in a few months. I don't buy it. I don't subscribe to the stuff that people send to me anymore, because I've now experienced being a person who actively does these things, and it's all withered away. That hobble of goodwill that I had for approaching and for putting stuff up and thinking, oh, if I just make this better, people like it. What the hell is better? Like, guys, I could literally put up a video with the Blu-ray camera, or not Blu-ray camera, it's some HD camera with the script, all kind of stuff. And I guarantee it would still get the usual 20 to 10 to 30. And that's not because it sucks. That's not because it's bad. Because people don't have very short attention spans, other than clicking that stupid red button and then coming around. I've literally in the past maybe 3 months seen people who subscribed a year ago, 2 years ago, just now leave a comment. And it always pisses me off because I'm sorry, but as someone that regularly makes stuff, I take note and notice who is here and who is not. And you might say to yourself, oh, well, they're at least they're trying. It's like, no, no, no. I had a guy come on my Iran stream where I was talking about the Iran nuclear deal, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and come in the comment section, go, hey, I haven't tuned in a very long time, but I was wondering, how's the woman front? And I'm like, how the hell are you not only going to not show up to any of my stuff for a year, but now try to change the narrative to fit a topic you want to talk about? If you want to talk about that topic, go make your own videos. Don't come over here and try to pretend like, you're so concerned. Because the truth of the matter is, if you gave a damn about anything having to do with me, you would have tuned into some of that stuff. You would have said, hey, this is a person who's trying to get their message out. Let me share it. Let me watch it. You don't do that because you want to, you're as selfish as I am, except you don't want to admit it. You want to have your feelings be projected or presented through another person. And when they're not doing that, you take them like this little piece of paper right here. You take them and ball them up, throw them in the trash. It's exactly how they did me. And it's exactly how the chicks do you. Not, well, me as well, but, you get my point. I guarantee you that I could put up videos for the next 60 years. I could talk to chicks for the next 40 years. And I would get the exact same results. Now there will be a few variances, right? There's that one video every now and again that gets a couple hundred views. There's that one chick every now and again that lets you touch her behind and, doesn't immediately admit she's a gold digger. But, you get my point that, we can do this, and we have been doing this year after year and getting the same result. And people are still going to sing the same stupid songs instead of just admitting the ugly truth. This is not going to get better. And it's not going to get better because I'm not putting up quality content. I decided to just throw away all the broads. In every case where I stopped speaking to some woman, it was because I got tired of getting friend zoned. I'm like, I don't need any more friends. I've tried to make this clear. I appreciate those who check this stuff out, who want to, interact here and there, but stop getting attached to computer people, like for real, because I've had that in the past. And when they cut me off, I got upset. I got frustrated. And I stopped because I realized that that's not going to mean my disdain for them cutting me off, for them not speaking to me, has no effect on them. None of these chicks that abruptly stop talking to me that I met online or in person are going to say, wow, I should check in on Justin. He probably feels really bad that I don't talk to him anymore. And maybe I should go on a date with him because he probably hasn't. They don't care. Unless you're offering them something, which again is, the gold digger route, they don't give a damn. And look, that's cool because, I realize since they don't care about me, I don't care about them. And I think that's a very, very fair way to go about handling the ugly truth. Looking at things for the way they are and making accommodations. So I was a person who wanted to get married and, have a family and, whatever. And because of how stupid a lot of my contemporaries are, whether it's, when you try to talk to them, they act as if you're doing something to them by speaking to them. I've accepted that's not going to happen, and I've made accommodations around it. I've focused on other things. I was a person who wanted to believe that, if I just made better content, more people would watch it, and that didn't happen. So I made accommodations. I went on Twitter and posted my link over and over again. Did the same thing on other websites. So many times people look at the aftermath of something and they question why, when they should question when. They should ask themselves, when did you get like this? When did whatever piss you off occur? When did you stop and say, this is a stagnant scenario? Because, like I said earlier, we're going to close this out now. I can stream and upload videos on this website for the next 50 years. And I will always have 30, 40 views, bar the occasional thing that's, that people check out and it gets a little bit better. I could talk to broads for the next 40, 50, 60 years. And they're going to keep the gold digger thing going up. They're going to keep the friend zone thing going up. I'm going to get more comments calling me all kind of things over the next preceding decades. Because look, the only thing that's going to change between now and whatever point this stops is my death. And as someone who, again, is conscious of the fact that this isn't a video game, that you don't have some unlimited amount of time to do things, I've just chosen to invest my efforts in things I can actually change. So I would have liked those other things, but the fact that they haven't altered after all I've given them is the ugly truth.